11 palettes enter, 1 palette leaves.
I mean, don't they all leave? Bitch, you never get rid of nothing.
Okay, 11 palettes enter and 11 palettes leave. Welcome to Thunderdome again. Hello, Champagne Dreamers. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, I don't know how you found me, but stick around. My name is Janessa, and I am North Dakota's trash queen of glam, geek, and gore. And if this is your first time here, you are in for a treat, because these are some of my favorite makeup videos to do, the Makeup Thunderdome. I take all of my palettes from a specific brand in my collection, and we do a ranking video, what's at the top and what is all the way down at the bottom. And this time we are doing indie darling Adept Cosmetics. So if you're excited to see how I ranked my 11 Adept Cosmetics palettes, then stick around because we're getting into it right now. That's right, I love Adept Cosmetics. I love what they're doing. I think it's a lot of fun. I think they've got a lot of kooky, interesting ideas. Some of their stuff is inspired by Star Trek. Some is inspired by comic books. I love a mishmash of beauty and glam and geek. I am the queen of glam, geek, and gore, so I definitely appreciate that. But we're going to talk about my 11 Adept Cosmetics palettes. That isn't exactly true, but we'll talk about it as we go through. But I basically have 11 spots on the countdown, and I have some fun products to talk about. Now, over on JanessaJaye.com, I have a post where I'm going to show you my moved around, mixed up, let's do the twist Adept Cosmetics collection, because most, if not all, of these Adept palettes are magnetic. So after we are done with this filming, I'm actually going to sit down and I'm going to reconfigure and mix up the shades to make my idealized palette. So if you want to see how I change up my Adept Cosmetics collection, then definitely go over to JanessaJaye.com and you'll see that. Now, a couple of the palettes that are in the countdown I already played around with, so they're not exactly new, so I'll call that out when I get to them. But most of these palettes I have left untouched. I haven't moved them from their original configuration because I knew I was going to do this video, and so most of them are as they arrived to me. And then over on the post on JanessaJaye.com, you're going to be able to see my ideal collection. Now, Adept Cosmetics is known for having some really beautiful palettes. They're known to be a little bit pricier. They have a lot of those really beautiful, shifty, duochrome, multi-chrome, holochrome kind of shades. They have some collabs that they've done that we're going to talk about as we go through, but they're known for really high quality, but also kind of a little bit on the spendier side. So I love that part of that price is getting the magnetic palettes so that I can go through and I can customize. I can make the palette that I want. I can make the final color story that works the best for me. So I wanted to rank these as they came out as much as I could, but that's why I'm super excited over on JanessaJaye.com to have that companion post where we talk about what I would do if I were making these palettes. If I had designed them from the ground up, this is maybe what I would have done. So definitely check that out. And for now, we're going to get into the countdown with number 11. Number 11 is the Minka palette. And this one is, I mean, no surprise. If you've seen my rankings before, you know that palettes that tend towards the more neutral end of the spectrum tend to end up on the bottom. That's just how I am. Clearly, this hooker clown needs color. I need saturation. I need vibrancy. I do really love this palette, and I have to say this in all of my Thunderdome videos, that even if something is last place, I still love it. If I love a brand enough to buy enough palettes that I can do a Makeup Thunderdome, that tells you that I enjoy them. And so this is just me saying, this brand is maybe the best of the best, but here's how I would rank them. So here's the worst of the best. And that's how I feel about Minka. So here's the color story that I have. This has been moved around. And to tell you the truth, I'll maybe see if I can find, I don't know if they still have this on their site. I know that this one has been moved around and shuffled a little bit, so it's a little bit different than when it arrived. But what I like about this is that it's just a couple of mattes. We've got these purple mattes up here, and then a whole lot of shimmers. So these here are kind of the more shifty ones. They have a little bit more color to them. And some of these this might become just a neutral palette. We'll have to see how it goes when we start to customize. But these really are just kind of straight up metallic gold, copper, silver, bronzy, champagne-y kind of metallics. And then here we get a little bit more color shift. So I have played with this to make it better. I like it better than when it first arrived, but you know what? It is still at the bottom, even though I've customized it a little bit. In the number 10 spot, we have the Flying Fiddles palette. This one, beautiful packaging. I love this lace overlay. These kind of make stacking a little bit challenging, not bad, but a little bit challenging, but I do like that they have the little plates instead of just the impressed words. Before they used to press the name in, and now they do a little plate. I prefer this little bougie kind of accent rather than just the pressed, so I can get over how it maybe knocks your stack just a tiny little bit off balance. But this one, no surprise, ended up down towards the bottom because it's very, very neutral. There are a couple of fun standout shades, and there are, like, Dahlia here is a beautiful shifty shade. There's this beautiful green, there's this dark green matte, there's this fun kind of marbled shade, which I think are beautiful in the pan, but in practice, I haven't really touched many of these. I haven't even swatched them because I'm a little nervous of how to use them. I don't know how well they're gonna blend, so I kind of stay away from them, which is a little bit of a shame. But this one, at the end of the day, it's just very brown with maybe some kind of plummy undertones. But in terms of the overall color story, like this has a little bit of like a plummy brown kind of color. And there are these kind of teal greens, but it's just very neutral. If I want something a little more subdued, which sometimes I do, this is a great option, but it was never gonna crack the top of the list. Let's be real, it just wasn't. In the number 9 spot, we have the collab with Amy Loves Makeup. Now, I do love this glitter packaging. This is fun. The glitter doesn't come off. It's very well sealed, so I like that, but I love that it's got a little bit of shine, a little bit of sparkle to it. And there are some beautiful, beautiful shimmers in here. This one, lavender in the middle, has this iridescent shift. The base looks kind of blue, and it goes to pink to gold. There's little hints of green. Gorgeous. The shimmers and the shifts in here are lovely. The main reason why this ended up as far down as it was is just because it's too light overall. Now, Amy from Amy Loves Makeup is a pale, ghostly girly. She's very pale, much lighter than I am. I'm much more of a light heading into medium. I joke about being pale, but she's pale. So I get that, like, these paler tones, and then the ones that are darker are a little bit more kind of, how do I say it, like muted. They're a little bit desaturated. They're not as deep and like impactful as they are because she's working with a much paler complexion, so she needs some of those. Now, Mocha and Billion Much are too similar to me. This could have been another kind of mid-toned matte shadow, because this is the only like real mid-tone matte shadow. This one, I guess, kind of mid-tone, but it's brown, it's boring. So I would want maybe like a pink for one of these two. This one could probably go to, maybe do like a pink and like a lavender, and then make this a little bit more saturated, and that would have really helped with this. But I do love this palette. It's just that it's a little bit too light. Even when I use pastels and light colors, I like to bring in some darker colors to kind of anchor the look and give it some depth and some dimension. But it is a beautiful palette, but it's just a little too light to crack even the top 5. In the number 8 spot, Amy is still in love, but this time she's in love with blush. This is the blush palette from the Amy Loves Makeup collection. Now, when I said it's kind of 11 palettes, but kind of not, here's where I tell you why. Now, this is a beautiful palette. Again, we've got the glitter, and it's a very Barbie moment. It's very pink We've got 2 matte shades and 2 shimmer shades. I love a shimmer blush moment, so I love that she gave some mattes but gave the option to add a little shimmer touch to them. And I love we've got this pink Barbie moment. For her pale skin, pinks are beautiful. It totally makes sense. Now this one was originally, I had put this underneath the Amy Loves eyeshadow palette, because if we're just looking at the blush palette and we're looking at the eyeshadow palette, I do like that one a little bit better because it's eyeshadow, right? Like this is just 4 blushes. I love this kind of pale red. I think that's beautiful. I love these shimmers, but I decided to bump this up one place and include other face palettes from Adept Cosmetics, because I did buy the 4 Minka, I don't know if they're called Minka, but they came out with Minka, these palettes, and I have rearranged them because these are magnetic. So I put the light bronzer and these 2 light kind of shimmer bronzer highlighters in here. This is the one I used the most. I decluttered one of them. I took the shades that I was least likely to use or that felt the most kind of overlap. I decluttered that one, but I kept the other 3, and I love playing with the bronzers and the shimmery blushes in these palettes. These are really, really gorgeous. And then this damn Ketracel white. I have talked about this in so many videos. There are so few highlighter palettes that I ever hit pan on because I have so many highlighters. And this cream highlighter, to hit pan on a cream highlighter with how much I usually hate cream face products, that's amazing. This one I've hit pan. This I've almost hit pan. These rainbows are also beautiful. This could have been on its own and been higher up in the charts, except these are beautiful, but they're hard to use. And I bought it for these 2, and I turned out to love these 2. Who even am I? But because these face palettes, I kind of grouped them all together and just bumped them above the Amy Loves eyeshadow palette, just because this is such a go-to. Whenever I do pink highlight, I love to put this shade, this Vorta, down first as a cream, pat it on, and then put the pink shade Phenomenon from Noctilucent on top of it, and that highlight gives me life. It is so good. So I grouped these all together and gave them the 8th spot. In the number 7 spot, we have another modified palette, the Heather Austin Collab palette. So I did love this palette when it came out, but I loved that it had some beautiful greens. I loved that it had some kind of purplish tones, but then there were some neutrals that didn't fit that well. So I decided to play around with this, and I came up with this. Now this might get changed again. Head on over to JanessaJaye.com to see the companion post. But I love this as a little 6-pan, these greens. And this down here is where I might play around a little bit more. But I definitely love the way that this came together. So the way that it is now, this isn't how it arrived, but you know what? I had already played with it and I didn't remember how it went together, and I didn't care. I wanted to keep things the way I wanted them. This is my Heather Austin palette, and this ended up in number 7. Love these greens. Love these so much. In the number 6 spot, we have the other already modified palette, and that is the House of L. So this palette, I love it, and I love the idea. I love that they were fans of Superman and wanted to create something that was sort of steeped in Superman lore. And when I was modifying and playing with the Heather Austin, the Minka, and the House of L palettes, this is what I came up with for House of L. Now, it's a crime that we've got this beautiful metallic blue packaging, and there was no metallic blue in here. And if, in fact, a little spoiler alert, if you go over to JanessaJaye.com, you're going to see that I probably found some blue to put in here, because to me, I know we still have to make it wearable, we still have to make it makeup that people can use, but I feel like it's a crime that the House of L never had some sort of blue shade in it. There were these kind of oddball greens. I took those right out, and I kind of worked with these kind of orangey red tones that were in the palette, and we've got a couple neutrals, but I'm excited to, now that I can play with all of the shades in all these magnetic palettes, I'm really excited to see what I can come up with that feels like Superman and still feels wearable, still feels like you could put together a coherent look with just this palette. So definitely check it out. I love it. I love comic book stuff. I love that they're into comic book stuff and sci-fi, and that they're bringing that into the makeup. Again, as somebody who's into glam and geek and gore, I sometimes feel like people are like, why can't you just choose one? I'm like, why do I have to choose one? I'm a whole human being. I can love all these things. And so I love when makeup products are celebrating geeky things or gory things. I absolutely love it. love what you love. I'm here for it. I'm such a cheerleader for just finding joy in whatever brings you joy. And for me, playing with this House of L palette to make it really feel like Superman is going to be something that brings me joy. In the number 5 spot, I absolutely wanted this in my top 5 because this to me is also a little bit of the evolution of makeup and the makeup space specifically on YouTube. And that is the Ninhydrin palette. I love this. This I think is the revamped one, so this is not the original. This has the little metal piece. I think the original one was stamped and had slightly different shades. But this one, I love it. It's shifty. I don't know if I'm going to even catch remotely any of the shifts. I'll maybe try to get some pictures, or maybe we'll try to get some B-rolls. The reason why I love this, and the reason why I absolutely had to have this in my top 5, is because before Pat McGrath gaslit and duped and gooped us all, and we started talking about special shades, Adept Cosmetics was just out here doing really good, really interesting, really beautiful shimmer shades. And we didn't have to call them special, and we didn't have to pretend like they were something that they weren't. They just were doing beautiful, shifty, gorgeous shimmers. It wasn't until Pat McGrath was trying to flog those $125 palettes that we had to start calling shimmers special shades. I'm so sick of that. I've ranted about that in a video before. If you haven't seen that, I'll link it right here. Note, that was early in my wig journey for this channel. I'm sure I look a goddamn mess, but just watch it, it's fun. And so I've ranted about that before, where the shades are not special. There's nothing special. If Pat McGrath wants to use more expensive pigments, that's great. And if she wants to charge $129 American dollars for those mothership palettes, that's fine. But we don't have to be out here aiding and abetting her in her delulu, saying that these are special shades. They're just a glitter shade or a multichrome shade. And her multichrome shade is nothing compared to multichrome shades from other indie brands that are half the price, a quarter of the price, much less than what she's charging to have one in a 10 shade palette. So if she wants to charge that, she can charge that. I have no problem with that. But we need to stop sucking her corporate dick and trying to pretend like these are special shades. And Adept Cosmetics really, to me, is what speaks to that, because they never called these special shades. They just said, we're going to give you a palette of beautiful, shifty shades that are going to knock your goddamn socks off. And we're just going to sell it. And they're going to be a little bit more expensive. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, you don't. Have a great day. Go about your business. And I love that. So this one is fairly new to my collection, but I was like, you know what? I have to have that because it really does feel like a part of the makeup history, the makeup journey on YouTube. Stop calling them special shades. Stop it. Stop it. Just describe them as what they are. You can call them a multichrome or a holochrome, or, you know, something that is metallic, or a blitz trance, whatever her like actual name for them is. Pat McGrath, she has the blitz trance or the astral trance or whatever she's calling them, whatever anybody's calling them. Just call them that. Stop trying to pretend that things are special. Just call them what they are, and if you want to pay that price, you want to pay that price. If you don't, if you think it's highway robbery, like I think most Pat McGrath is, then don't. Done. End of story. Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you, Ninhydrin. We appreciate you. Thank you for your service. In the number 4 spot, we have probably the best packaging from the line. This is my favorite packaging. And I probably ordered it because of the packaging. Although I know Adept is always going to be beautiful shadows, but I saw that packaging and I was like, the color story, I'm kind of so-so. I still think it's beautiful, but I'm like, if I don't have that packaging in my collection, especially knowing that these are magnetic and that I can turn this into such a perfect palette for me, I had to have the Legend of Ardra. This holographic, I know it's kind of a mess to try to see because the holograms, there's all of this tooling and this embossing. It's so pretty. Now, the Legend of Ardra, I'm not super into Star Trek. I know that this is some sort of Star Trek reference, but I just loved it for this packaging. And in terms of color stories as is, there is a lot in here for me to love. I do love pinks and purples. These more kind of blue leaning purples and this like hot magenta fuchsia kind of color. Gorgeous. And a lot of these have beautiful shifts. Now there are some kind of, if you go to JanessaJ.com, a couple of these shades down here may end up over in the makeup palette because they're a little bit more neutral. And we might just make this into something a little bit cooler, a little bit more interesting, and really kind of live up to this packaging. I love it. So I love this color story. I think this is beautiful. And again, I'm excited to play with all of these shades, and I have been playing with these shades, and this couldn't make it to the very top for me. It's my favorite packaging, but there are other color stories that I do like better. So we're going to discover those in the top 3. In the number 3 spot, we have the Cyborg Choir, and I love this kind of metallic ombre, purple into blue into pink. And then we really do see that play out here in the color story. You know, these mattes that we have here. Now, Angelica Nyqvist from Sweden has mentioned before, she loves more mattes in a palette. I love more shimmers. I have no problem bringing in an extra matte or two from another palette if I need to. I would rather have these beautiful, gorgeous, impactful shimmers. And there are a couple in here. I think this one, maybe one other that are like holochromes. They're getting into those shimmers that have the holographic glitter. I love this pop of yellow. This told me pink, blue, purple, and I get that, but then I get socked in the face by this beautiful yellow combo of this matte and this shimmer. Love that because it's surprising and it's something that I didn't expect, but I can still see the cover and the theming in the color story, but then it also finds a way to surprise me. So I love this. I am probably still going to mix this up. I'm still going to move this around. You'll have to check the post to see what I do. Clearly, I haven't even done it yet, so I'm still percolating. But this is pretty close to perfect for me. Now, there are a couple coming up that I like better, obviously, but I do love this. And I just can't get over this yellow. That's what really brings me up so much. Because otherwise, a lot of these are very, very light. And all the mattes, except for this one, are very dark. So I probably would have ranked this lower just because there's not as much of a light to dark gradient. But this surprise of yellow is just joyful, and I love it. So it had to be in number 3, the Cyborg Choir. In the number 2 spot, beam me up, Scotty. The truth is out there. It's the Element 115. Now, I love this packaging. I love this cute little gray alien piece that they put on. It's a metal. It feels heavy. It feels expensive. I love that they moved the nameplate over to the middle with this rather than in the corner. Super cute. I love that this is just sort of a space age gunmetal silver packaging. And then inside, obviously, I love turquoisey greens. I love these dark blues, this purple. And then I love that we get these weird flashes of pink and orange. Again, if you can find a way to surprise me, that's what I love. Because all of this feels very space age, and then having those little pops of pink and orange. Now, it's got a couple of these kind of rainbow river shades that I'm always a little scared of. How do we use those? Are they going to mix well? I'm always a little bit scared of those, but I do love it. I love this pop of orange. And I love orange with these kind of like blue-based purples, a little flash of orange. Clearly, I love sometimes just having a flash of a weird color in the inner corner. I love doing this green look with the hot pink. That's the kind of thing that I would do with this orange. I would do a purple look with all these beautiful purples and blurples, and then have this in the inner corner. Love it. So I am a believer. I am definitely the Mulder, not the Scully when it comes to this palette. I love the Element 115. But not enough for it to be in first place. Can we guess? If you know their collection, you know what I'm going to say, but let's do it. In the number 1 spot, she is nothing if not predictable. Just let me live. Number 1 is the Inspired palette. Of course, the green palette. It's called Inspired because it's not officially licensed, but it's inspired by Green Arrow, the TV show. And I love this packaging. I love this gold medallion, is really beautiful. And then, of course, we have a ton of beautiful green shades. Now, there are some surprises here. There are some shifts There's some purple. We've got this kind of mustardy brown that leans into the greens. We've got this pop of bright blue. I don't know if I'm even going to play with this. When I customize, you'll have to see the final looks over on JayeSaJay.com. Have you figured it out? Have you gotten the hint that I'm trying to direct you to my website to go see this? But this one may stay as is because I really do like this. I think that these interesting colors up here, I can figure out a way to make them work. I may leave this the way it is because I love this so much and I love these greens. Although there are beautiful greens in other palettes. What if I just had a monochromatic green palette of Adept Cosmetics? How fantastic would that be? Oh my god, I would love it. So you'll have to check out what I decided to do, but as is, I still love this. I absolutely adore this palette, and this one is untouched because when they were getting rid of them, I bought a backup. So I have one that I've been playing with. I have one that I have been working with. I don't buy backups of palettes very often because I don't go through eyeshadow that much. It's very rare for me to hit pan. But this, I was like, I knew it was going away. I knew it was probably going away forever. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy a backup. I just love it so much. So I had to get this one. And I had to get it twice. That's how much I loved it. So, no surprise, the bitch picking the green palette. Who'da thunk it? But here we are. I love this. The Inspired palette is #1 from Adept Cosmetics. Alright, that is the video. Thank you so much for watching. I love and appreciate you. Let me know down in the comments below. What would you think of my collection? Do you think there's anything I'm missing? I know there's a couple. There's another Star Trek one, the like Samaran Sunset or whatever it's called. Do I need that one in my life? There's other ones that I maybe haven't picked up. There was like the Amunet that I don't think is even available anymore. I don't have that one. Is there anything I'm missing? Would you have ranked them in a different way? Let me know all of your comments down in the comment section below. Let's have a conversation. I love reading my comments and responding. I'm pretty good. Now, sometimes if it's a reply to a comment, sometimes YouTube doesn't give me the notification. So if you ask me something or if you put something new that I haven't responded to, but it's in a reply, if it takes me a long time to get back to you, just know that I still love and appreciate you. But YouTube doesn't notify me of all replies, just of all new comments. So if you've already commented and you want to ask me a new question or you want a response to something, put it as a separate comment rather than a reply. That just makes it a little easier. But I will always get back to you because there is this little weird spot in the analytics where I end up finding them. I know that's a weird aside. I know that's a whole lot of thing, but I do really like to be in my comments and talking. So I just want you to know that if there's something that you ask or you don't get a response to, that may be why. I check in and I make sure that I'm getting comments. Every time I get a notification, I go check it. And every once in a while, those replies to comments will get shifted off to a dark place in YouTube. So definitely let me know down below and we'll have a little conversation about it. While you're down there, don't forget to give me that thumbs up to let me know that you like these Makeup Thunderdomes that I do. You like a good ranking video. I love them. There's a lot of them on my channel. There's probably going to be more. And if you hate them, if you're tired of me being a judgy bitch, I mean, it's not going to stop them from coming. I am inevitable. I am the tide. You can always give me that thumbs down to let me know your displeasure, because you know what? It's all engagement. The algorithm isn't a piggy bitch, and neither am I. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, become part of the family, and hit that bell icon so you'll be notified of all future uploads. I try really hard to make sure I have at least one video a week, and I do try to cycle through the glam, the geek, and the gore, so it's not all makeup, it's not all vintage toys, it's not all horror. There's a little bit of everything, a little bit of everything for everyone, all of my favorite interests. Let me know, all kinds of pop culture, and check my community tab and let me know how you feel about things, what you're thinking about. I've been trying to post more polls and questions over there and just updates, so let me know in the comment tab. But I do try really hard to make sure you have at least one video a week, and sometimes, if you're very lucky, you might even get a bonus video. Ooh, special shaderific. If you'd like to chat, banter, or commiserate between uploads, all of my social media will be linked down in the description box below, including to my website, where I may have mentioned once or twice is a companion post all about my customized Adept collection, The World of Champagne at JayeSaJay.com. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for coming for another crazy battle in the Thunderdome. I had so much fun. I love Adept Cosmetics. I'm always excited to see what they come out with. I am always interested in seeing those beautiful, kind of expensive, but always worth it shimmer shades and multichromes and holochromes. And I'm just here for it. And if you are too, then stick around, subscribe, and until I see you again, bye. What did you hear?
Children.
Oh, yeah,
And
sometimes
adults.
the role-playing people.
One of them's playing a child.
As I can make. There was a pretty girl. Where is it? Where did you go? There you are, motherfucker. And where's the other one? There you are. Oh, God. My booty hurts.